So it took you almost 4 years before you hit the breakthrough. 98, 99, 2000, 2001. And a lot of money, I suppose. I mean, how many millions of pesos are we talking about here? And your friends must have been calling you insane already for doing this R&D in spite of the Asian financial crisis. How much are we talking about?
No, it's in the hundreds of millions of pesos.
My goodness, for this R&D alone, and for 4 years there's no yield.
There's nothing.
And then you're telling me that you met an accident, your mother and your brother died, you almost died yourself, and after 5 months, was it after 5 months?
No, after 3 months.
After
2 months, 60 days. November 17 was the accident. January 17, 2001.
So your mom came in?
According to Professor Zhang,
as a dream.
He was aroused from his sleep and talking to my mother. You know, according to him, the second time he woke up, the sun is already there, so he immediately rushed out to the field with a very big magnifying glass. You know, in the 40 hectares properties of ours doing R&D, we have hundreds of plots doing the crossbreeding. You know, I was walking along the Pilapil, he heard a small voice, go directly to plot number 8. So I spent the whole morning in plot number 8 looking at all the small rice flowers. And you have to find small pepper that equidistance to each other inside that small rice flower to make sure that it stabilizes. Around lunchtime, I received a call from Professor Zhang, and he was so excited. He said to me, look, I finally stabilized this land already. You can mass produce the seeds and distribute to the farmers. And he wasn't even claiming the honor for himself. He was telling me about my mom, the story of my mom. So the first variety that we came out was called SL8H. 8 is in plot number 8 where we have the stabilization. SL, of course, an initial of my father. H is not Henry, H is hybrid. So for the next 3 years, three seasons, when we distribute the seeds to farmers, the farmers used to do what? 3 to 4 tons per hectare. Came back with 8 tons, 10 tons, 12 tons, 14 tons. And we break 17 tons many times already. Not only here, but even in Indonesia. Can you imagine that? Until now, SL8H, for the last more than 10 years, still the best variety for the tropical Asia. That's why in the Philippines, we have around 80% of the market share for hybrid rice. And even in other countries began knocking out our doors.
From 3 hectares per...
From 3 tons per hectare.
From 3 tons per hectare, now you can do 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to 14.
17.
17.
There are farmers who produce 345 kabans per hectare. 1 kaban is around 50 kilos. And, you know, in Nueva Ecija, if you go to Nueva Ecija, the farmers will tell you, baka kang karaniwang magsasaka sa Nueva Ecija. And during the dry season, where there's no typhoon and no risk at all, if you use SL8, and then if you produce less than 10 tons per hectare, you are a lousy farmer. Mahinang klaseng magsasaka, either nagsasabong ka araw-araw, nakpupusoy ka, otherwise you will really make more than 10 tons. So the arithmetic is very simple, Martin. How much is 10 tons? Do you know the price of palay the last season was 20 to 25 pesos per kilo? Even at 20 pesos lang, that's 200,000 pesos gross. As a farmer, you're not going to spend more than 35,000 pesos for your labor, for whatever inputs, whatever. You make what? 165,000. But there are farmers who make 12 tons, 14 tons. There are farmers who make 190,000. There are farmers who have 10 hectares. They make millions of pesos. That's why I was talking to the car industry. I said, look, the car industry said that they have a 20-25% increase in sales. Sabi ko, karamihan, puro mga magsasaka yan. And I tell you, the favorite SUV of the farmers in Central Luzon is Fortuner and Monteros.
Wow.
Farmers are now driving cars already. And then if you go to Tuguegarao, once somebody sent a picture to me. May tricycle dyan, nasa baba, may tarpaulin nakalagay, nakatiki dyan. Katas ng SL8H. Diba dati katas ng Saudi, katas ng Dubai, ngayon katas ng SL8H. Sabi ko, was excited. Sabi ko, sino may-aring tricycle yan? Hindi lang isang tricycle, marami pala. So they were able to find the owner of that tricycle, and it was Kajimi. And the Kajimi was telling my people, he has only 2 hectares of land, rice land. For the last 6-7 years, he was been planting my seeds already. And because of using SL8H, he was able to send his only daughter through college, was able to buy a hand tractor to mechanized farm and lease it out also. Was able to buy several tricycles pang pasada. Lahat katas ng SL8 ito eh.
How much is the difference pag bumili ako ng binhi ng SL Agritech, no, itong SLH? Ano yung presyo nito kung ikukumpara ko dun sa ibang binhi, no? Yung local lang, yung ibang I'm not so familiar with the rice seedlings.
80 kilos of certified seeds, no. Probably will cost you around 2,400 pesos. But an 18 kilos of SL8 will cost you around 4,800. So doble lang, di ba? But that's the catch. The farmers sometimes cannot believe that you can plant 1 hectare with only 18 kilos of seeds. Because in certified seeds, sometimes they cannot even use 80 kilos. They use 120 kilos pa yan. So how can certified seeds using 120 kilos tapos ikaw, SL8, 18 kilos lang? They can never imagine the vigor of a hybrid rice seeds. Kasi kapag hybrid rice, kahit na isang seedling lang yan, it will have 35 tailorings eh. Kahit na medyo malawak ang tanim mo, after mga 45 days, puno-puno na lahat. Dumadami na. And then, even one tillers, do you know that the panicles, ordinary grain panicles around 90 to 120 pieces of grains. So, hybrid is around 350. So it's really 3 times more. So that's the vigor, no? But I was also sometimes being attacked also. He said, baka puro hybrid rice, baka si Henry ang magmonopolize sa merkado dito sa Because for hybrid, there's only one thing peculiar ng hybrid is that if you reuse the seeds, the vigor will drop drastically. You cannot produce 10 tons anymore. Maybe you produce only 3 tons or 4 tons. So they have to buy the seeds every time. And we have to keep on producing the seeds for them. Of course, sabi ko, so what? Everything hybrid, being hybrid corn or hybrid vegetable, hybrid fruits, ganun pa rin di ba? Why do you just, di ba, single me out? But right now, we have to explain. We have our own people going there disseminating information.
This could be the solution to our rice shortage.
I tell you, I was so, so frustrated, no? During the time of the GMA, because after 2001, Arab's no longer in power. He was impeached and removed. GMA came, and I have to thank GMA for that, because from 2002 to 2004, in the span of that 2.5 years, we were able to increase from 0 hectareage to around almost 200,000 hectareage for hybrid rice. Can you imagine we were able to increase our national average of only 2.9 tons to 3.6 tons per hectare, with less than 5% of our total hectares planted to hybrid. And we are making, at that time, Sito Lorenzo was a Secretary of Agriculture, and we make a computation. If we have only 800,000 hectares out of our 4 million hectares planted to hybrid, will be more than self-sufficient, even if our population reaches more than 100 million. Beyond 800,000 hectares planted to hybrid, we can even be a rice exporter. But sad to say, during the second term of GMA, the hybrid rice program was dropped. Instead, we keep on importing rice. And then even during this administration, then the government make more emphasis on organic rice or whatever, upland rice, whatever. No, I was so surprised. Can you imagine that I'm exporting my seeds to Vietnam? I exported 500 tons late last year. I exported another 400 tons this month. And while I'm exporting my seeds to Vietnam, we are importing the rice coming from Vietnam. That's why Vietnam is saying, oh, look, we are buying the seeds from you. We use the seeds to plant, and then we produce the rice, and then we sell it back to the Philippines.
So meaning,
that's the biggest irony.
So meaning some of the varieties of the sacks of rice that we buy from Vietnam,
SL8.
SL8 yung galing pa sa'yo yung binhi. Mr. Lim, what is your dream for the Filipino? What is your ultimate goal in life?
My mother passed away, but I was telling you that I have a brother who is gifted, and then my mother sometimes, through my brother, would at least talk to me. And my mother said that, I'm going to keep you strong and healthy, and I want you to promote this hybrid rice, not only the Philippines, but the whole of Southeast Asia, even as Africa is concerned. You know, at this point in time, I am proud to say that I go to sleep every night feeling very fulfilled, because I know that at any given year, around 500,000 hectares of rice land in Southeast Asia is planted with my SL8 seeds. And only with an increment of 3 to 4 tons additional per hectare, I can feed 10 million people for 1 year. But my aspiration is not to feed 10 million people. My aspiration is going to feed 100 million or even 200 million people. And I have to go on with this one. But of course, along the way, I mean, we came out also with other varieties. That's where the Jasponica, Meponica came in also later. Jasponica is SL7 and SL9, Meponica. That's another variety.
How is it selling? Kasi ako, Jasponica binibili ko eh. Tell you honestly.
Okay, tell you that, you know, after we came out with SL8, because my benchmark for SL8 was so high, any other varieties that came later on that cannot out-yield SL8, or even the seed production is more difficult, I discarded them. Until I came out with SL7. SL7, the cost of production is high. It's difficult to produce the seeds, and also can only go up to only 12.5 tons. You cannot go beyond that. SL8 can go 17 tons. So I was about to discard it, but before discarding it, I always mill it and then I taste it myself. Aba, masarap pala ito, sabi ko. I distributed to some of my friends, and Cito Lorenzo, I still remember, was the Secretary of Agriculture, texted me back. He said, Henry, this is even better than Caldros, better than all the imported rice. Why don't you develop a good premium rice for the Philippines? Because we have already lost our Milagrosa to the Thais. So I decided, I think very deeply, I meditate, and then said, okay, if I name the seeds after my father, which is SL, I'm going to name the rice after my mother, which is going to be Doña Maria. I call it Jasponica because SL7 is a hybrid between jasmine rice of Thailand and the Japonica rice of the Japanese rice. And if you want to eat the Japanese rice, which is short grain, soft and glutinous, but there's no aroma at all. But if you want to eat the Thai rice, long grain with aroma, ngunit medyo buhagak, tsaka medyo matigas, this is a combination. Long grain with aroma and also soft and glutinous, just like the Jap. So I call it Jasponica. And then later on, I came out with another with the Milagrosa Japonica combination. Mas malit pa ng grain na kaunti, and then mas malambot pa. And then I call it Meponica. So both Jasponica and Meponica, I decided not to sell the seeds. I developed my own seeds. I produce it. And then I subcontracted the farmers. We have around 5,000, 6,000 hectares every season subcontracting. And then I bought all the palay from them at a premium price. 1 peso to 2 pesos higher per kilo. And then I mill it, I package it, I sell it under the Doña Maria brand. And I even branding. I think there was somebody was telling, why don't you make a case study out? How can you ever brand a commodity? And the first one actually to advertise rice in the Philippines. You know, when I came out this rice, nobody's going to touch it because of the price. But you know what I did is that I do not want to compete with the SL8, which is the ordinary dinurado nakikita mo sa mercado on the sinandoming. I'm going to place myself and compete with the imported rice, the Japanese rice, the Thai jasmine rice. So I have to place it higher, no.
Jasponica, ito na yan.
And then I have to have a lot of promotions, and I'm happy that all the supermarkets are already carrying our rice, and I tell you, selling rice is better than selling paper.
I guess the $1 million question is, nag-extra rice ba kayo, sir? Kumakain ba kayo ng extra rice?
No, right now we are really advocating brown rice. Brown rice is actually very good, but there's no good tasting brown rice around. That's why I can tell you, Martin, we can say that our brown rice is the best tasting brown rice, not only Philippines but the whole world. I've tasted brown rice from Japan, from other countries, from Korea. None of them can even taste the same as my Jasponica or Meponica brown rice. And our brown rice we are making to champurrado. In fact, when I saw in the newspaper that we have 14, 15 million malnourished children, I'm also putting up a feeding program for them using brown rice.
What's this rice bucket challenge of yours? Recently, you started this rice bucket challenge. You challenge MVP and you challenge everyone.
Actually, Martin, every year we have corporate planning. So this year, September, which was my birth month, so in my corporate planning, I launched the Rice Bucket Challenge because it's in difference to the Ice Bucket Challenge I've been seeing. I've seen our Secretary of Finance pouring ice bucket, and then he was even challenging our President of Federation, Alfonso C, to do the same. So I said, why should I pour myself with this ice water and all these things? So because why don't we do ice and rice? No, I mean it's just it rhymes. Why don't we do a rice bucket? And we are not going to pour the rice over us. We just give everybody a bucket of rice. That was just also originated from India also 1 month earlier. And I found out that India started with a lady giving out rice, and they put in Instagram, social media, and suddenly there are 40,000 people giving out rice. So I want to start it here. And I'm happy when I launched this program, this rice bucket, and then I launched, actually the first one I challenged was MVP. And MVP was in Spain, and he texted back that he's accepted my challenge. And then he came over. He actually get all the Bosings to accept my challenge. And I think we have a good rice bucket. The 5,000 buckets that I'm giving out every year during my... I'm not going out giving out only this year, but every year during my birth month, I'm going to give about 5,000 buckets to 5,000 families. It's gone already to maybe almost 45,000 buckets.
Okay. We're about to wrap up this program. Just a few more questions. How do you face fear? How do you deal with it?
I do not know if that's in my vocabulary at the moment. Although during my school days, there was always this fear, fear of not passing the test, not passing the entrance exam, and all these things. But after so many years, I'm already in my senior years, and of course, I don't look in my senior. I went to
Germany.
No, because eating brown rice will make you young. I think I'm in my mid 40s or late 40s or early 50s. But then fear is no longer there. You look fear straight on the eyes. And I have to tell you also another thing. In our group of companies, if there's somebody, senator said that she eats a death threats for breakfast. It's sterling paper. We eat competition for breakfast. We always pray for the survival of our competitors, so that we have a chance to show our superiority, and that's what we are.
That's very good. So, fear is not in your vocabulary, but hindi mo sinagot yung tanong ko kanina eh. Ilang cups of rice bang kinakain mo? Sa isang kainan
No, you know, in the Philippines, I tell you, the average is around 116 kilos per capital consumption. When I saw the figures, I was so surprised. I said, 116 kilos a year? You mean I'll be eating more than 2 sacks of rice? Di ba? Isang sako na rice is 50 kilos, di ba? So I don't really eat that much rice. But then, when I found the other countries, like Laos, Laos eat more than 165 kilos of rice per year.
Per
for
person.
Development. Kasi wala silang ibang kinakain, puro rice lang
Per person.
Per person,
yeah.
But
tayo,
here,
ilan tayo?
I think, Martin, both of us, siguro we eat maybe less than 50 kilos of rice per year. But it means that the poor people will eat more, di ba? That's why the average is around 116 kilos. Some may eat around 140 kilos, 150 kilos. Some will eat more, eat less. But Europe is only averaging around 35 to 40 kilos per person. But here, I have to tell you, rice is a commodity that is being eaten by the most number of people. And then do you know who is discovering rice? Africa. Africa used to eat root crops and other sorghum, other things. But when they are farmed in Africa, when the United Nations give them rice, suddenly they discover that rice is easy to prepare, mas malambot pa, mas mabango pa. They like to eat rice. So right now, Africa is eating rice and consuming rice. Do you know that Nigeria is one of the biggest importers of rice? And we have sent our seeds to Nigeria. Actually, it's growing very well in Nigeria, but at the moment, I cannot find anybody who wants to volunteer to go to Nigeria. My technicians,
because of Ebola.
Yeah, because of all of these things. So I have to respect the decision. So we are delaying our entry into Nigeria, and even Somalia also Kenya is also talking.
Lastly, sir, I asked this earlier, but I guess you weren't able to answer it. But what is your dream for the Filipino?
For me, agriculture is really the basic backbone of an economy. And sad to say, many of our president really doesn't look at it at that importance. Do you know that China, every first law that they passed in the first of the years was really for agriculture?
Mm-hmm.
And I have to tell you that the Chinese leaders always saying, if you are developing countries like China, or for that matter, even the Philippines, the only three things you should do, you should know, is really agriculture, agriculture, and agriculture. Because if the agricultural farmers are rich, the entire nation is going to become rich.
Mm-hmm.
If the agriculture industry flourishes, 1,000 industries will follow. If the agricultural sectors are stable, heaven and earth, the whole country is going to be stable. There will not be any insurgencies or whatever. So this is really agriculture, and I want agriculture to flourish, and I hope in my lifetime I can see it happen.
That's a very noble dream or vision for our country, sir. And let's get to the lighter questions. What's your favorite color? Favorite color?
Sometimes your favorite color changes over the year. It used to be yellow, sometimes it's going to be green and blue. I mean, Letran, the color of Letran is blue and white, blue and red, red and blue.
UP maroon.
UP maroons.
Mm-hmm.
It tends to changes sometimes, but I think I just know the favorite color of my wife is yellow, so sometimes I follow.
Just yellow. What is your favorite book?
Right now I'm reading books about Jack Ma.
Mm-hmm.
The new hero of China, Alibaba. But I also read books about a lot of these great people. No? Of course, with all this, I was telling you that Matsushita, all of these things. But even Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and all these books. But there's really not one book that you really like. No, I mean you just scan over and then you try to get the good points of all of this one.
What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie. There was a movie called Hero by Jet Li at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And Jet Li in that movie portrayed as an assassin who wants to assassinate the emperor because the emperor is very ruthless.
Mm-hmm.
But we found out that no matter how ruthless the emperor is the one who can unite the whole of China and who can at least obliterate all the other warlords and make it China into a peaceful country. He did not assassinate that emperor. I mean, that's a really good movie, and I like that movie.
What is your favorite Filipino viand? What is your favorite Filipino meal?
Actually, kare-kare with bagoong and brown rice. That's my favorite. But then, I had maybe around almost 10 years now, I got sick. My wife, because we're both Catholic and Buddhist, and my wife said, "No, do you know I make a vow that if you got well, you should refrain from eating beef." So, it deprives me of that kare-kare already, so I have just to settle with siguro lechon na lang, lechon baboy na lang with salsa.
Okay, lastly, with the lechon baboy, what is your favorite SL Agritech rice? What is your favorite variety?
Okay, I'll tell you, Jasponica. Jasponica white is good. Miponica white is a little bit softer. Jasponica white and Miponica brown. That's good. Both of them are good. Yeah. Best tasting rice. Probably the best tasting rice in the world.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.
God bless you, sir, and good luck po sa ventures ninyo at sana maging rice sufficient yung bansa natin.
Yes, that's my dream.
Mr. Henry Lim, ladies and gentlemen, inside Martin's Man Cave Podcast.Ph. We will leave you now with a song that I chose myself. This is from Frank Sinatra, Strangers in the Night.
This Podcast.Ph presentation is supported by Martin Andanar's Homecast Studio and Audio.Ph.
And distribute to the farmers. And wasn't even claiming the honor for himself, was telling me about my mom, the story of my mom. So the first variety that we came out was called SL8H. 8 is in plot number 8 where we have the stabilization. SL, of course, an initial of my father. H is not Henry, H is hybrid. So for the next 3 years, three seasons, when we distribute the seeds to farmers, the farmers used to do what? 3 to 4 tons per hectare. Came back with 8 tons, 10 tons, 12 tons, 14 tons. And we break 17 tons many times already. Not only here, but even in Indonesia. Can you imagine that? Until now, SL8H, for the last more than 10 years, still the best variety.
Mm-hmm.
You know, according to him, the second time he woke up, the sun is already there, so he immediately runs out to the field with a very big magnifying glass. You know, in that 40 hectares properties of ours doing R&D, we have hundreds of plots doing the crossbreeding. You know, I was walking along the Pilapil, he heard a small voice. Go directly to plot number 8. So I spent the whole morning in plot number 8 looking at all the small rice flowers. And you have to find small pepper that equidistance to each other inside that small rice flower to make sure that it stabilizes. Around lunchtime, I received a call from Professor Zhang, and he was so excited. He said to me, look, I finally stabilized this land already. You can mass produce.
Financial crisis? How much are we talking about?
No, it's in the hundreds of millions of pesos.
My goodness. For this R&D alone. And for 4 years, there's no yield.
There's nothing.
And then you're telling me that you met an accident, your mother and your brother died, you almost died yourself, and after 5 months? Was it after 5 months?
No, after 3 months.
After
2 months, 60 days. November 17 was the accident, January 17, 2001.
So your mom came in?
According to Professor Zhang,
as a dream.
He was aroused from his sleep and talking to my mother.
So it took you almost 4 years before you hit the breakthrough, 98, 99, 2000, 2001. And a lot of money, I suppose. I mean, how many millions of pesos are we talking about here? And your friends must have been calling you insane already for doing this R&D in spite of the Asian...
For the tropical Asia. That's why in the Philippines, we have around 80% of the market share for hybrid rice. And even in other countries began knocking out our doors. Indonesia,
from 3 hectares per...
From 3 tons per hectare.
From 3 tons per hectare. Now you can do 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to 14.
17.
17.
There are farmers who produce 345 kabans per hectare. 1 kaban is around 50 kilos. And, you know, in Nueva Ecija, if you go to Nueva Ecija, the farmers will tell you, baka kang karaniwang magsasaka sa Nueva Ecija,